Today we gather to celebrate a remarkable milestone. 75 years of passion, perseverance, and community at Historic Harley-Davidson. This isn't just a dealership, it's a legacy built on the love and passion for riding. Since Denny's father and Mike's grandfather Henry first opened the doors of his dealership in 1949, we've shared countless memories, from the first bike sold to the friendships built in our showroom. We've witnessed generations of riders, each adding their own chapter to our story. It's these connections that have fueled our journey and made us a cornerstone of this community. A heartfelt thank you to our dedicated team and our loyal customers. Thank you for trusting us with your journeys and for being a part of our family. Happy 75th anniversary, gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to welcome Darren Murphy from the Harley-Davidson Motor Company to the stage. Thank you, Eli.
If you think about it, Harley-Davidson celebrated their 120th anniversary last year. The Patterson family has been with Harley-Davidson for 75 of those years. That's unbelievable. Think back in 1949, that was a time when we were knucklehead to panhead era, and everything that has gone on since then with our production. It's an absolute honor, a distinguished honor, to award Mike, his family, his employees, and the family of riders the 75th anniversary of your business.
I was just going to add that really Dad, part of this thing started in 1925. He was with Harley for 74 years. Very remarkable.
That it's actually more like almost 100 years.
Yeah.
Because, when we started in 1926, we'll talk about that in a minute. But 98 years for the family in the Harley-Davidson business, 75 years here at this dealership.
So also the staff here at Historic Harley wanted to honor the Patterson family, so we got a little memento of the occasion for you. I want to present that to you, Mike. Very nice.
Okay, little Q&A session here. Bruce, you've worked here for 40 years. Tell us how it all began for you.
So, I guess it's pretty close to 40 years, and I think a lot of you know me and know that I came from a middle-class family. That was a challenge, so I had to. So I got started at Topeka Harley-Davidson because of my dad, and I'll try not to talk too long, but we can all talk too long today. So my dad was an avid motorcyclist, and he was an extremely loyal Harley-Davidson rider. He was working with Dutch Myers, who had the dealership here in Topeka before the Patterson family, on purchasing a new panhead. And the bike had not come in, and Dad was wanting to go to Daytona, Florida, and watch the motorcycle races. So he had to get his bike serviced at a WL, so an old 750 flathead to ride down to Florida and back. And so he'd gone to the shop to talk to Dutch about that and the new bike. And Dutch said, well, I've sold the shop. I'm not able to deal with you on it. You're going to have to talk to this gentleman. And that was Henry Patterson. So in Mike's office, he has the receipt from the work that my dad had done by Henry Patterson on his WL. So that's a really pretty cool memento for us.
Yeah, that's the very first receipt that was officially for dealership was through Bruce's dad. It's pretty cool.
So, I mean, I have to say I'm humbled and truly honored to be up here on the stage with the Patterson family today. And I think it's neat that our families go back that far. So my dad took me to the Harley shop constantly as a little kid. My dad worked for Henry Patterson for about a year full time, and then I'll tell the slightly embarrassing story. One day my dad said Henry was paying him, so he's writing his paycheck out on a check. And Dad said, I couldn't help but see over his shoulder the ledger. And he realized that someone was probably going to get laid off at Topeka Harley-Davidson, and he said it's probably not going to be the owner. So at that point, Dad started looking for more meaningful work. Once he took a job with DuPont, he did also early on when he was on shift work, he would come down and help Henry out, I guess, when Henry didn't have anybody else working there. So I grew up coming to the shop to go to coffee with Henry. There was always events on Saturday mornings where a lot of the old timers would get together and go for coffee. And then I remember a lot of times when Dad was on shift work and I was not in school, we would go in on weekdays and go get coffee with Henry Patterson. So I grew up thinking the Harley shop was the coolest place on earth, the one right here in Topeka. I can remember scooting around on the three-wheeled stools. We got one of them up here, made out of old motorcycle seats, Harley seats, probably made by Henry Patterson. That's how the mechanics used to work on the bikes. My sister and I would scoot around on those things on the shop floor. Yeah, it's fun to have Charlotte working part-time with us now too. So we'd scoot around on those stools, and pretty soon you'd get hit by a grease rag, and then you'd look around and you'd find Henry smacking us. So I'm in the Navy at one point, and I'm home on leave. And one day, Denny is standing at the other end of the alley between Doc Post's Animal Clinic and the Harley shop on 6th Street. And Denny yells at me, when are you going to come work for me? And I was thrilled, and I was crushed at the same time because I had another year left in the Navy. So I yelled back, I got 1 year and I'll be back. A year later, I got home on Christmas Eve. And I think maybe the first day after Christmas that the Harley shop was open, I went down and probably rather sheepishly asked if there was still a job opportunity for me. And Denny hired me, so that's when I started.
Denny, what is your earliest memory of the dealership?
Technically challenged. I'm going to backstory just a bit before we talk about early memories. My dad was born in 1910, and in 1925, bicycle companies were going around the country putting on contests and shows to try to get people into bicycling. And one of the events was called a plank ride. 4-inch plank. And Dad did that and set a world record. And
2 miles.
yeah, okay, 2 miles. And the local bicycle dealer, well, maybe he's somebody we ought to talk to. And he hired him when he was 15. And Dad continued to work at that store till 1949 when he got his own dealership. Pretty cool. That's why it became a Harley shop, and that's how Dad got involved with Harleys. Back to memories of the early days, Dad brought us over the mountain from Grand Junction, my brother and I and Mom, and they said it was kind of strange. I think it was a little trailer. And Dad set up his first store on Kansas Avenue next to a big old hotel called the Troop Hotel. And he had everything built, all of his shelves, everything looking really nice. I'm not sure if I really have all the memories of it, but I have pictures of memories of it. The Troop Hotel then caught on fire, and he had to move everything out of his store to the sidewalk because it was going to collapse. So he lived on the sidewalk, I don't know how long, pretty remarkable. Then he moved down the street to about where the police station is now. I don't really remember that very much, that store much, except that it was very, very dark. And he started looking for a permanent location, and that's the point when there was 6th Street, probably early 1951, maybe 1950. Yeah, way out in the country, clear out in the river. And this is 1951, and those that know the 1951 history, that's when Topeka flooded. So he got flooded there, and we're also renting a house in Oakland, and that got flooded. So Dad decided that my brother and I and Mom needed to leave the area for a while and go to Colorado, where the roots were. And he stayed and did, I don't know how he did it, but an awful lot of work. Perseverance, he did it. He did it.
Yeah.
Then there's the store on 6th Street, which a good many people in here have experienced.
So obviously there were a lot of tough years. There were a lot of tough years, especially in the 1970s, as well with quality issues on bikes. How did the dealership get through those times?
There was quality, but I always kind of argue about this a little bit. People always blame AMF for all the problems, and they did have problems, but a lot of the things that really took Harley forward in the next few years was rubber-mounted engines and evolution motors, and those were developed with AMF. There was probably at the factory some unhappy employees and probably some sabotage on some motorcycles coming out. I don't know if that's all true or not, but the biggest issue back then was perception of quality. And I really don't think that Harley's quality was going down. What was going up was the Japanese quality. And it was making the Harley quality look pretty bad. It took a long time for Harley to catch up with what was going on in the Japanese industry, but I always felt it was more of a perception problem than they weren't going downhill, they just weren't going uphill.
Mike, you've been here for 43 years of the 75 for this dealership. How has this been sustained for so long?
First, I don't know how I've been here for 43 years if I'm only 42.
We're going to need a fact check on that.
Yeah, the fact check, right, exactly. This is live fact checking right here. So, yeah, it's for me, this has been obviously my whole life. I started working when it was probably illegal for me to be working. Was doing probably around 13 or 14 years old.
But he wasn't paid.
Yeah. I'll tell this story. So, but they didn't have anything for me to do. So what I would usually do was just paint. I I paint the inside, the outside of the building. I was standing up on the awning, which is probably completely inappropriate, painting the whole building. And I'd work all summer, and then we would have a family get together and come out to our house, and I would get presented $100 bill for all of my work over the whole summer. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. This is so great. So yeah, that's how I got paid. So yeah, 75 years. How has this happened and worked out? I mean, I'm lucky enough to follow my grandfather and uncle and watched how they did business. And I think for our company, which is maybe a little different than a lot of other businesses that are really fixated on numbers, our business was more fixated on just taking care of customers, and then the numbers work out. So that was like the first priority, and that's really how it's always been done. Taking care of customers and having long-term customers is something that we're very proud of. And there's people in here that have been customers a long time. So I want to do a little survey here. If you've been a customer for more than 20 years, raise your hand. Okay, that's cool. How about 30 years? How about 40 years? Still a lot. How about 50 years? That's pretty amazing. Actually, I was probably 16 minutes late talking about that and seeing that. The thing that my grandfather and Denny always did too is just treat our customers like family. And the family starts internally. Like our immediate family is our team here at the dealership. I would say our inner family would be our hall group, because they're just so much integrated with everything we do within the dealership. And the hog group today, which is really cool, I think we have 10 former hog directors here today. So if you're a hog director, raise your hand. We're all going to have lunch together after this today. Our partner businesses too, just the people that are around here, Touch Class and Integrity Insurance, Ray with the grill, Tim Morrissey, our painter Travis Charbonneau, just the people that have been part, that's our family as well. As far as our employees, I wanted to point out a few people here. Of course, Bruce, right at 40 years, amazing. Dave Larson, 30 years, worked here, raise your hand, Dave. Rick Evans, raise your hand, Rick, 30 years. Eli, raise your hand, 23 years. Andy Black, 23 years. Tyler Reynolds, 22 years. Amanda Beach, 17 years. And our other person over 10 years is Jason Stone King, 12 years. That's pretty cool. It's amazing, really, to have people that, you really are family, because you're around these people more than you are your actual family a lot of times when we work together for that long. One of the things that Bruce brought up the other day that we talked about, over the years too with our team is we have kind of 3 questions. And the first question is, and I like to ask this question because it's really important to me that our employees understand this. And the first question is, who do you work for? Like when we're talking with our employees, we're like, who do you work for? Who's the boss? I want them to know this. So some people might say, Mike, it's not true. Who we work for is the customers, and that's our boss. You know, if you just work for Mike or the Pattersons, it would only last like a week or two, because we run out of customers. There wouldn't be customers to keep this thing going, so we work for them. And then we talk about what we sell, you know, and then maybe some of the answers are we sell parts, we sell service. No, really what we sell is fun. Because that's, you know, what we all share here with this sport is we have fun with it. It's what we do for our fun. And then the last thing we ask is really what makes us different. You know, we have a cool old building, we have a lot of history, but really what makes us different is our team and how we interact with our friends and our customers. So that's our three questions that we that we live by when we're doing our business here. And you know what that's amounted to? I did a little research this week. In this book here, my grandfather started in 1949. And you can go to the first page, and it's March of 1949, and lists every single bike sale from then through the late 90s. We actually had a computer, but he didn't trust it, so he kept writing it in. And the number that added up, and you know, with all of the riverfront stores and Cycle Zone, came up to 19,358 motorcycles sold over that time, which is crazy.
Most family businesses do really well in the first and second generation. Third generation sometimes fails. And Mike has taken it to entirely new levels. It's been great. So
Mike, the dealership has been in several different locations over the past 75 years. Talk about this building, and what can you say about the upcoming move?
Okay. I've been asked that a few times today already. Well, first, you know, I think we all share the love for this building. It's a cool place. We're sad in a way that we have to move on from it. You know, times change, things march ahead. It's the way it is. I will tell a story though from when we first had the idea to move here, and we were having a Christmas party over at the Capitol Plaza, and I hadn't told anybody about this building. You know, a few people. Bruce knew. So the idea was we brought everybody over after the party. It was at night, and to surprise everybody with this new location. And you guys remember it was Willie C's. It was pretty cool up here, but downstairs was like a dungeon. There was like chicken wire for walls, and it was really dirty, and it was a mess.
There was water dripping on the floor and chunks of concrete.
Still is, actually.
We fixed most of the other stuff.
So we brought everybody in, and I was super fired up because I had this vision of this place, and was touring everybody around, and all I heard was, "This sucks. This is terrible. We like where we're at." Do you remember that, Dave? So that was a lesson for me. I went home very deflated. But I think it worked out. It did work out. So yeah, the big question is our next move. And the whole idea was today was to be celebrating this, and this is actually why we pushed it back as far as we did this year, and be announcing where we're moving to. And it hasn't worked out that we can announce it. Yeah, kind of devastating, because this would have been a great time to be able to say it, but we just actually can't because of attorneys to be able to say anything about it. It's going to be on the west side of Topeka, and I think most people have heard that, and it's going to be cool. I don't think anybody's going to be let down by what the new dealership is. We'll miss this, but it's going to be good. So, I think we can wrap here. Bruce really wanted to wrap, but I told him no.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So let me just say one more thanks. We've said it a lot, but first to my family, to my wife Kathy and my son Jackson, me personally thanking them. Our team, these guys on the stage. We've been together doing this for a long time. The rest of our team, we don't like to call them employees, but it's just so you know who I'm talking about when I say our team. Marshall Liddell has been my insurance agent for a long time. He's an important man. Another important man is Mark Hosmer from Fidelity Bank. And you guys, we've been customers with Fidelity Bank for 75 years. The only bank my grandfather went there, and that's the only bank we've ever been with. Byron Porter is here as well, and he's been our accountant, I'm going to say, for close to 30 years as well. Another very important man in our dealership. So, thank you. I can't tell you how cool it was to sit up here and just look at the faces right now. It almost makes me emotional, to see all these people come back. It's really awesome, and it's been. I think we could say it's been 75 years of making friends. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Folks, that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate all of you.
We've got